What's up, guys? Brian back to talk about The Walking Dead Comic Issue 156 and the huge news that happened in the comic there too. Spoilers ahead if you do not want to know. Really, we're going to talk about Negan in general, why he's a great character. There's a great article by Movie Pilot here that we'll talk about. We'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it on there too, so you can read your own leisure. But basically, Negan is on the show now for, 11 minutes of one episode, so we don't know how he correlates to there, but let's talk about him in the comic. So, prior to his introduction on the show, Scott Gimple talked about Negan, how he's a fascinating character, nothing like we've seen before, and he's, not inherently evil, nor insane, nor psychopathic, but rather he's the ultimate bully. And he does some horrible things, but the group does horrible things, and we'll see how it is too. So, basically where we're at on the show with Negan is here. It is issue 100 of the comics, and we don't know what's going to happen, but I think they're going to replicate the comic. He's going to pick someone, eeny, miny, moe style, and people like him, they don't like him, he can dialogue, he can this, but he picks Glenn, and he kills Glenn. So, I think they're going to replicate that on the show, personally myself, just because going forward it makes sense. But the death of Glenn, whilst tragic and brutal, happened as a consequence of the Saviors at Alexandria. Negan bashes Glenn's brains in order to make the rest of the group fall in line. One sacrifice to prevent larger loss of life. Hurting people for the fun of it is not something he does. So he's not just killing people for the fun of it. He's doing it to prove a point and to make you work for him. He's going to take half your shit if you can't work for him unless you're there. So, Movie Pilot, there's the link. We'll put it in the description as well. Check it out. I highly recommend it. So, basically in the comic where they're at, Alpha whispers. They're a whisper of war. Alpha is a big character, later on after Negan. I don't know how they'll do it on the show, but they are walkers, human walkers. People basically put the skin of walkers on top of them there too. The Whisperers, Lydia, Rick, kind of connected there too. I don't want to go too much in that, but basically Negan we're talking about Negan here. So Negan does what he does to ensure survival of his own people and himself. At the Saviors compound prior to the time skip, had worked to survive, but the physically weak are not called nor forced to venture out into dangerous work outside. Whereas the Whisperers kind of get rid of the weak. They're left to fend for themselves. So Negan kind of helps everyone, and the Whisperers do not. So that's kind of where they differ. You see him with Alpha there. The big news is that he kills Alpha, basically. And Alpha is not going to be the leader anymore because her head is decapitated. So it's issue 156. I have the compendium and I'm reading it over and over again. It's this guy right here. You can get on Amazon for like $40 or something. It only takes you to issue 144, I believe. So you'll be a little behind, but just check them on there too. But basically Negan says, "But I don't want to be here," he says as he slices her throat. He lies her down before she bleeds out. Finishing the job by removing her head from her neck. Wait until Rick gets a look at you, he says, holding her severed head aloft when the issue ends. So it's pretty crazy where they're going to go from there too. Some people think that Beta is going to take over for the Whisperers and go after Negan, or what's going to happen for that too, but there's a good look of it. You think that Negan was going to kind of build something with the Whisperers on that, but Negan doesn't do that. He doesn't stand for rape, and that will cause this big whole thing too. He does have a moral code, in fact, Negan talks about attempted rape prior to that, but Alpha was going to let it happen on there too, which is kind of crappy. So in the back issue on there too, Negan does not abide by any form of sexual assault amongst his people. He's highlighted in issue 117 when Negan kills David for an attempted rape on Holly right here. So he doesn't stand for that. He's not a monster. He does have things where he wants to have the society intact. They're not monsters on there too. He killed him after the rape on there too. We don't rape, which is good. You want to have that person there too. So he's not inherently evil. He doesn't let all things happen there too. So the Walking Dead producer David Alpert gave a pretty extensive description of Negan to IGN, blah, blah, blah. He said, Negan's not a psychopath in some ways. He has this bizarre sort of empathy to him. It's bizarre that he actually does have empathy, and he does have a system, and he does have, in so many ways, even reason. There are a lot of moments, they are so terrifying because you can't reason with him because he's made up his mind on something, but he does reason things out. He isn't just some psychopath. So the whole iron thing where he's going to maim you, he's not going to kill you, but he's going to maim you and he's going to mark you up. He cut off that girl's finger on the show, or the piece of the finger there too. We'll see the iron on the show if it's not too brutal, but I think it definitely will come out. So he's going to keep people intact somewhat. So certainly from our point right now, he's the bad guy. And Negan is a bad guy. He's not the good guy by any means. He's not Rick Grimes. Rick Grimes is our main moral code on there too. But, Rick does have a problem with Negan basically getting out, and he screams at Olivia for accidentally leaving Negan's cage open. So Negan has done horrific things, but he still has his own moral code. So I don't know what you think of Negan on there for. First and foremost, I'm a guy who likes the good guy to beat the bad guy. And Negan's whole harem of wives kind of thing, I don't know if we'll see that on the show, but it's kind of crazy to think of that. But Negan in the comic books is brutal, violent, foul-mouthed dictator who is not above all kinds of his horrific things to get people under his control, but he's not one-dimensional by any means, and the conclusion is the latest issue seems to suggest that he's decided to throw his own chips back with Rick and co. arriving back on the scene with Alpha's head on a plate. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Negan. He's not the worst person in the world. I don't know. Versus him versus the governor, what do you think? Do you think he's worse than the governor? Do you think he's better than the governor? But overall, he's a super strong character. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Check out our other videos. But what do you think? Do you think Negan is the worst villain ever? I don't know. He's kind of towing the line in this crazy world. So post your comments below, guys. I'm interested to see what you say about the video and Negan and the Whisperer Roar. And always thanks, guys.